Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another weather forecast by Apollo Weather. In this video, we are going to be talking about some snow for the northeastern United States, as well as the potential for some severe weather later on this week for the Great Plains. So without any further ado, let's get right into this video. And to start things off, we are going to be looking at our weekly forecasted high temperatures for the week, for this entire week. So here for today, for Monday, you have for the northeast highs in the 30s to 40s. For the southeast, you have highs in the 60s. For the Ohio Valley, highs in the 50s. For the Midwest, you have highs in the 70s and 60s. For the plains, so for the central plains and the southern plains, you have highs in the low to mid 70s. And for much of the western United States, you can kind of see where this colder air is here. For much of the western United States, today highs will be in the 40s to 60s, maybe 70s and even 80s down in places like Arizona and far southern California. So low temperatures for tonight. For the northeast, you have lows dipping down here in the 20s. You have lows in the 20s for the northeast, lows in the 30s and 20s for much of the western United States again, except for California, where you're gonna get down into the 50s, maybe 40s along the coast and up in northern California where the mountains are at. 20s in places of Arizona and New Mexico. 40s and 50s for other places in Arizona, and 50s for the central United States here. And highs, here are your high temperatures for tomorrow, Tuesday. We're going to kind of just quickly go through this, give you guys a few seconds to check your area. You can pause if you need to. Here are your highs for Wednesday. You can see 80s now starting to show up here for the plains. So starting to warm up here a little bit. Here's for Thursday. And you see you still got that warmer weather just over is from the central United States all the way to the eastern United States. Just that warm air just continuing to funnel in, kind of keeping the northern United States and the western US decently cool. Seasonable temperatures, if not even below average a little bit. For Friday here, you can see now the central US a little bit cooler, while the western US, far western US, in California and Washington and Oregon, seeing highs in the low to mid 70s potentially on Friday, potentially 90s in some spots in Florida. And for your Saturday here, you can see again still a little bit cooler for the central US, northern US a little bit warmer, but still pretty close to the same. Southeast still getting, those above average pretty warm temperatures here. And the western US definitely warmer as we head into the second half of the week. And if we look at our final day here for Sunday, for these high temperatures, you can see the 30s return to the far northern plains here. 80s and potentially 90s could be possible in some areas in Florida. Northeast is still hanging on to those 40s and 50s. Out west, still looking at the 70s. And so that is it for your forecasted high temperatures for the week. So now here, if we take a look at the CPC outlooks, first we'll start with your 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook. And you can see here, for the central United States, we are expected to actually be below average temperatures over the next 6 to 10 days. And for the south, for portions of the southeast and into the northeast, you can see above average temperatures expected here, with the most likely area for above average temperatures being along the western United States here and portions of Washington, Oregon, and into northern California. But California as a whole, and really the western United States as a whole, are expected to be above average temperatures for the next 6 to 10 days. And if we take a look here at an 8 to 14 day temperature probability outlook, you can see here from the central United States and all the way into the northeastern United States, below average temperatures are expected to still hang on here as we go into the later half of the month, with those above average temperatures still expected in the western United States. So kind of seeing a pattern flip here, as it's been below average temperatures for the western United States and above average for the central United States and northeastern United States for a while now. So we're seeing that kind of a pattern flip going on here. So if we take a look here at our precipitation outlook over the next 6 to 10 days, and you can see for much of the upper two-thirds of the country here, maybe upper half, you can see these darker browns are the highest likelihood of below average precipitation. I mean, in this area, for once, you can see this on the western U.S. and be like, oh, okay, that's not the worst case scenario with how much snow and stuff they've gotten lately. This isn't the worst thing in the world for them to see below average precipitation expected. And that really extends all the way into the Central Plains and the Midwest and even portions of the Ohio Valley. But the southern United States, into your southeast and into the northeast, is where you can expect to see above average precipitation over the next 6 to 10 days. And if we take a look here at the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, it's kind of the same thing, but now the middle part of the country here has equal chances at above or below average, with portions of the Midwest into Ohio Valley here of below average expected. Same thing with the West, but now portions of California have have equal chances of above or below average precipitation, while portions of Southern California and all the way into, southeast into the Carolinas here has a chance of above average precipitation. Really, with your biggest chances being Florida, portions of New Mexico into Texas as your good chance of above average precipitation. Need this to extend a little bit north into the Panhandle, though. That would be ideal. So now if we take a look at the 7-day precipitation, this is in inches. And you can see here, southeast expected to get the most amount of rain in the country here. Anywhere from 2 upwards of 4 inches. Anywhere from 2 to 4 inches are possible here for portions in the southeast. This is also really good to look at during severe weather season as the highest likelihood of severe weather occurring for the week. You can see just really good precipitation expected for a lot of areas here. Really, most of the country is wet, with just a few places really expecting not to see a lot of precipitation at all. Even those areas of a below average precipitation still expected to get, at least an inch or so of rain over the next week. Not very many white spots is on the map here, which would indicate no rain or snow. Alright, I don't know why my PC's been doing this to me lately. Closing out all the tabs. So first we're going to take a look here at the southeast over the next 48 hours. And you can see we just dragged this out here. Kind of the same thing as yesterday. Over the next 48 hours, it's expected to be pretty much dry for much of the southeast, except for maybe, some pop-up, spots of rain here, but overall, for the most part, or at least over the next 48 hours, it is expected to be dry for the southeast. Obviously, that's expected to change here, as they are expecting above average, as they are expecting a good amount of precipitation over this week. So we take a look here at the northeast. And you can see there's that heavy snow for portions of the Northeast. Light to moderate snow here. Those darker blues, those darker blues and into those pinks are heavy snow. It will start clearing out here over the next 48 hours, but it's towards the later half of the 48 hours. It's about 44 to 45 hours out when that snow will really start to clear out of the Northeast. Oops. Pretty soon I'm going to be able to look at the newest HRRR data. Alright, so if we take a look here at the southern plains, this is where the area of activity for severe weather Thursday is expected, but until then, it's gonna be pretty quiet. Over the next 48 hours. Not really a lot expected. You do have a couple of marginal risk of severe weather, but overall, it just doesn't really look like we're expecting a whole lot to happen over the next 48 hours. So if we take a look here at the central U.S., you can see got some areas of snow here in Colorado. Then you got some snow funneling in here into portions of the central United States. Potentially heavy snow in parts of Colorado here. This is 44 hours out. This is the overnight hours here of Wednesday morning. Could see a decent little snowfall there. So if we take a look here at the Midwest, take this out over the next 48 hours, and just there you go. You got some storms here that could pop up and initiate. Probably not going to be severe. You're gonna have some good thunderstorms, but a little bit of rain coming your way, but other than that, not much expected out of that at all. Alright, so if you take a look here at the northern plains, still over the next 48 hours, relatively quiet. Maybe you get some rain here, but otherwise it is quiet over the next 48 hours. So if we move this on over to the northwest, big surprise, more snow here. You get a good rain and snow mix, but the snow does really start to take over here in portions of Oregon and into California, but really from Washington all the way down into California, you get good bands of snow. Again, potentially heavy here in the darker blues and into the pinks. So could still get some more pretty decent snowfall again over the next couple of days here. It looks like it's going to clear out, and then lo and behold, there's just more behind it. It just will not really stop snowing up in that area. So if we take a look at the western United States, you can see that snow. Even areas of Nevada getting in on it again. Then it kind of fizzles out, but then you got more that just develops right behind that. So this kind of continuous snowfall for the same areas that I've been seeing snow for the last week and a half now. If you look at the southwestern United States here, again, you can see some of the heavy snow there building up in the mountains of California. Areas that continue to get snow, I mean, areas just keep getting it. It just won't stop snowing over there. So before we look at our severe weather, I did have this open up, but it just kind of disappeared on me. So if we take a look at the snowfall here, the expected snowfall over the next 48 hours. So you can see here, areas of the Northeast can expect maybe another 2 to 5 inches of snow. Could see over a foot in the far portions of the Northeast here. Another 6 to 7. Again, for the Northwest, you just continue to see a bunch of snow, another 10 plus inches possible across most of the areas in the pink here. Anywhere from 6 inches up to maybe a foot of snow in spots possible here. And in the mountains of California, you could see another 3 to 6 inches again. So just continuing to get a lot of snow. But now if we take a look here at our severe weather threat for the plains on Thursday, well, first let me show you the slight risk here. So you have this slight risk here. It has extended further north now, and now it's just to the southwest or southeast of Oklahoma City Metro. It includes again Dallas, Waco, Lufkin. Still includes Austin, Texas. Maybe it's just outside Austin, Texas, but the risk did get extended north and a little bit east, kind of as we did anticipate. So definitely continuing to watch this. So first we'll take a look here at the GFS. You can see the moisture here. Nice warm sector, 60 dew points. So you got 60s, low to mid 60 dew points across the entire risk area. So if we take a look here at our 500 millibar winds, these are the winds higher. These are the winds higher up in the atmosphere. I'm not feeling the best today, so if I'm all over the place and if I sound a little nasty, I do apologize for that. So you can see here, highest winds do reside here in Oklahoma, and then right across the Red River into Texas. 55 to 60 knots at 500 millibar. And even into this portion of the risk area here, 50 to 55 knots, 55 to 58. If we take a look here at the 850 millibar winds, these are the winds that are about a mile above your head. These are the winds that will kind of fuel your tornado potential. Realistically, we're looking for 35 knots minimum at the 850 millibar level before we really start thinking the tornado potential is there. And in fact, in the southern portions of this risk here, and in the main area where the risk is, you do see these wind speeds of 30 to 34 knots, 35 in spots. Texas has the more favorable winds so far, 35 to potentially 40 knots in spots. So definitely something we are watching here. And if we take a look here at our Cape values, you can see instability is kind of all over the place on this. It's actually kind of outside the main risk area where the highest instability is. You got random pockets here of instability that's not that good, mixed in with pockets of instability that's decent. 1300 joules here, minus 25 CNN, so not a very strong cap. 33 knots of shear, so not a whole lot of shear, but not no shear. Portions of Arkansas here, you can see 2100 joules, minus 24 CIN, but again, that wind shear, a little bit on the lower side there. But then you got 45 knots here, 1700 joules. We'll pull a sounding. I don't want to pull too many GFS soundings because we do have NAM data in, and we're going to go over that here in a little bit. And it's fresh off the presses too. It's the only NAM it's right at the 84-hour range that the NAM goes in. So this is the first NAM run to see the setup. And you can see here you got a decent little photograph, a decent but not the best looking wind profile I've seen. Pretty low level instability, tornado hazard type. I'll pull a sounding here in Texas. weak tornado, better hodograph, an actual better wind profile in my opinion. Again though, that low level instability is really lacking. Alright, so that's enough with the GFS. Let's go ahead and look at the NAM data. Again, this is right at the end of the run here. So this is the first time the NAM has seen the setup. And you can see dew points pretty similar. Dew points might be a little bit higher on the NAM, but overall the dew points do appear to be pretty similar to the GFS. So if we take a look here at our 500 millibar winds, you can see we got pockets here of 50 knots. So the 850 millibar winds, again, these are the winds about 500 millibar winds. These are the 500 millibar winds. They are pretty similar here to the GFS. These might actually be a little bit lower in some areas, but then higher in others on what the GFS was showing. But you got 45 to 50 knots here in Arkansas, 30 to 45 in areas of Texas, and 45 to maybe 50 in portions of Oklahoma. So if we take a look here at the 850 millibar winds, you can see where the highest winds are, and here's your highest tornado potential right here. Gonna be down here in Texas, and this isn't saying that there's a high tornado potential. We'll get into that in a little bit here, but these are where those low level winds are the highest, are here in Texas. And even in some of these, I guess barely at the minimum, 35 knots, 38, 40. So maybe watch this little area here down in Texas. So if you look here at our severe weather ingredients here, we are going to start off with the instability. And you can see right here where the highest levels of instability here is, right here in these reds. Over 3,000 joules, which is some of the highest K values I've seen in the plains this year so far, if not the highest. And you can see marginal tornado sounding here, with hail ranging from 2 3/4 inches to potentially 3.5 inches in diameter. Got a good wind profile. Hodograph is kind of weird, so this is definitely more of a hail risk, which is to be expected. We're still not really in the tornado setups of the time of year yet. Do have a somewhat curved hodograph, but I mean it's not very tall. Have a good wind profile, have that tornado sounding, higher amount of low level instability, but still not like really high values here. We'll pull a sounding here in eastern Oklahoma. Now this is the highest instability I've seen in Oklahoma this year. I can for sure say that with confidence. Very high levels, very, very high levels of low level instability here. But not a really impressive sounding otherwise. Definitely watch eastern Oklahoma though if they're gonna have low level instability values that high, especially Arkansas. If they also are gonna have that kind of low level instability, which they do have high levels of instability. So for your 3 Cape, we're really looking for values of 100 and higher. Anything under 100, you can still get severe weather, you can still get tornadoes, but especially since that's low level instability, the lower the number, that tornado risk goes down significantly. So really we're looking for values of 103 Cape or higher. And obviously those are pretty high values there. So let's take a look here at our surface-based CIN. CIN is the opposite of instability, it's stability. This is where your warm air is, your elevated mix there, otherwise known as your cap. There's really not a whole lot of capping. The capping is right outside the risk area, and then I mean you can basically see where the risk area would be at here. There's not a lot of capping, so things could go linear pretty quickly, but they still might not. Again, the NAM is just now in range with this setup, so it will show a bigger picture later today as more runs come in, and definitely tomorrow. I'll keep looking at this. I will look at each run that comes in for this so that way the picture and kind of everything becomes more clear. But since the NAM is now in range, even though it's right at the end of the run, this is when we start forecasting a little bit more. It's not so much watching trends as it is when you don't have any medium range data. This is when it becomes more about forecasting. So if you look at our bulk shear here, this is what it sounds like. That's your rotation in the atmosphere. You can see we have 50 plus knots. We're really looking for kind of the same as low level winds here, kind of looking for 35, maybe even just 30, but definitely the higher the number, the higher the chance of an all hazards mode. But just like every other setup so far this year, and I guess really every setup, but there are some limiting factors that could limit that tornado potential. But anyway, you got a widespread, 50 plus knots basically in Oklahoma, 50 to 55 knots of shear, 40 to 50 knots here, 40 to 50, but that's outside the risk area. So Oklahoma so far actually has the best overlapping ingredients, but but not as favorable of a wind profile. But you do have good low-level instability, so I think Oklahoma is going to be the state to watch in this setup. Maybe portions of Arkansas as well. And maybe I'm wrong as soon as I start looking at supercell composite and significant tornado parameters. So we're going to pull a sounding here. We have that value of 10 and a PDS tornado sounding. So immediately, yeah, kind of proven wrong there, right? Hodograph is nice and curved. You have pretty good wind profile here. A PDS tornado sounding, that just means that area has the potential for a tornado of an EF2 or greater. Not saying that's going to happen, and again, that 3 Cape is under 100, so the low level instability isn't quite where we would like it to be, but it's borderline. So it's not terribly low amounts of low level instability, but it's still under the minimum of what we like to see. If we pull one here, we'll pull one right across the border here. Also has a value of 10, a tornado sounding, hodograph and wind profile all over the place. More of a hell risk there. If we pull a little bit further into Oklahoma here, tornado, kind of the same thing. If we pull for eastern Oklahoma, you get a tornado sounding still. So there are definitely limiting factors in the mode where I think would produce tornadoes and be more likely. But maybe into northern Texas would be really good as well. Again, the NAM is just now in range here, so things are going to change. It's going to look different. 195 3 Cape here. So we're going to take a look here at a significant tornado parameter. Come on. So we're going to look here. Value of 1, tornado sounding. Again, this is just a wonky kind of sounding. If I pull this one here in Texas, we have that 2.5. Probably going to be, your PDS Tor. Pretty good wind profile. Dew points and regular temperatures are dang near the same, so that's something to keep in mind. But that low level instability, there might be enough of the other ingredients in play to kind of make up for that. But also keep in mind, Texas didn't really have the best low level winds in general. But definitely you gotta start paying attention when you see PDS tornado soundings, especially when you start finding them in multiple areas. Let's pull a sounding here. Tornado sounding. Low level stability is still a little low. So low level instability and low level winds could be the limiting factor for your tornado threat. And that's not saying that there's no chance for tornadoes. I definitely think the potential as of right now for a couple do exist, and very likely it's going to be here in the grays that you're seeing. going to be probably right in here, with the heightened potential going to be along in northern Texas. If the storms go just due north, the tornado potential is going to extend into Oklahoma, but if they go northeast, they're going to extend into Arkansas. But definitely, here we see those yellows and oranges. That's right now your highest tornado potential. Again, this could change. This is still a few days out. So let's pull a couple here in Arkansas. Tornado soundings, curved photograph, nice wind profile. The low level instability again isn't really there. At least according to soundings, we do have a model that handles these kind of things really well and will give us a pretty good idea on what stuff will look like, which we will look at here in just a minute. Actually, we are going to take a look at this model right now. So here's your lid strength. This is measuring the cap. Anything 2 degrees Celsius, anything 2 degrees Celsius or lower is a weaker cap, and anything that is 1 degree Celsius or minus 1 degree Celsius is that, yeah, anything that's minus 1 degree Celsius or lower is your potential surface-based areas of storms, which you can see here. You got a good amount of the reds here. In the central Texas, you do have a couple here right along where those PDS tornado soundings were at, so that's something to look at. Your highest area where your surface-based storms again are right in here, so right along in line with where we think if there's going to be a tornado risk where it would reside, and that would be right in here. So that's one thing we can check off that agrees with models here, is that lid strength index is lining up pretty well in line with where those PDS tornado soundings were at. Another thing we can use is your 0 to 3 kilometer MO Cape, and this is your low level instability at the lowest ends of the atmosphere. And you can see here that anything here in the browns would be 150. Again, 100 is like the minimum we look for. And you can see these areas in the reds here, that is 180 in the darker reds. And in these blues here, that's 210 up to 240 joules. So this is highlighting more of a Arkansas into eastern Oklahoma risk in terms of an all hazards mode, but you kind of gotta look at this whole area. Definitely though, this is the area of heightened potential. This could be something to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get an enhanced risk thrown in here somewhere, and there's a chance it could end up in here. And this lines up with what models were showing on soundings with the lowest level instability where it's the highest. This lines up pretty well. Texas wasn't that high, except for maybe portions, in the risk area, but maybe not as good ingredients. So that's what we're looking at there. We'll take a look at the significant tornado parameters, and you can see the highest again is right where the PDS tornado soundings were at, right here into Texas. So a little bit of disagreement though on significant tornado parameters and your low level instability. If you look at that again, definitely not in agreement here. I'm also not the biggest fan of the significant tornado parameter on this model. Definitely the specialties of this model here is your lid strength index. It does a very good job at signifying where the cap may break. There's been plenty of times that models have called for the cap to hold, and this one called it for it to break, and you get surface-based storms, and it's actually happened. So definitely kind of interested to see what happens here. And it gets the 0 to 3 kilometer MO Cape very well too. And again, that's your low level instabilities at the lowest levels of the atmosphere, only 0 to 3 kilometers up. So right now you'd want to watch the central Texas risk, but definitely the area that I'm looking at the most right now is Arkansas and Oklahoma. The thing is though, it's very likely not going to look at this on the next model run. It will probably change. So as we get new information, I'll let y'all know. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you all have a good day. Drop some likes on this video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload from me. If you made it this far in the video, leave a comment down below saying I watched until the end, and I'll go ahead and give a reply to your comment. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Pieces.